Wait, well, should we do the introduction then?
Let me do the intro real quick.
Yeah.
I guess we're starting.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dangerous Rhetoric. This is our 104th episode.
Oh, I'm 104.
Wow. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the show with your friends, make clips, promote us because, you just love to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, we got the haters. The haters are out there promoting us too. Thank you, NYC Antifa. Thank you.
Oh my God. Yeah, you guys have been, I'm so proud of the both of you. I have to say this. I've been watching you guys just do all these different things, getting these big interviews, and I'm just like, look at my boys. I'm so proud. And I'm I'm
still broke though.
Still broke. It's fine.
Because we're such good grifters.
We're so good at it.
Listen, I'm doing the fat grift while I'm sitting here also working at a restaurant now because I can't afford my bills, but we're grifting, guys. We're grifting.
Hey, we got to do what we got to do. That's just the way it is.
And I have been dropping pounds since I've been washing dishes.
Ooh, congratulations.
I don't know if you guys saw. I didn't know if you saw my Facebook post. Yeah, I've lost. I want to say when I started 6 weeks ago, I weighed probably close to 416. I'm just going by I felt things dropping because now, as of this morning, I'm at 394, and I'm like,
damn.
Okay. So yeah,
doing
washing dishes.
Well, literally washing dishes. I've been eating at a calorie deficit now for 2 years, so that kind of maintained the weight because I had to get my I was always eating so you know how Tess Halliday bitches that she's anorexic, and I
forgot I didn't even introduce you.
Oh yeah, whoops.
We have the based, the beautiful, the big, the amazing Starsan, Lady Starsan.
Thank you.
You're totally winging this whole intro, are you?
Well, I'm just
at all.
I'm very relaxed right now.
I mean, we can always cut it and start from scratch if you want.
No, that's fine. I mean, we've had you. This is your third time.
This is a very comfortable, relaxed episode.
Of course. I mean, you guys are my boys.
I would hope people who watched us realize this is your third time on, so we probably don't have to do a formal intro for you. But
I'd like to introduce the guests.
And most of Twitter knows who I am now anyway, so it's great.
Especially all the children.
So famous.
All the 18 to 19-year-olds, they, them, babies, Antifas, umbrella genders, bi genders. Oh God.
Twitter needs a new policy. Only 25 years old and plus should be allowed on the platform.
Because I've had a lot of people private message me. I've had several larger creators, and also even in the comments of it. We'll get into that. But what were we talking? What were we talking about?
We're talking about the children coming for you.
No, the weight loss thing first. The weight loss.
Talking about weight loss.
Oh, weight
loss. Yeah.
Come on, Brent.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
See, this is why you have to have protein in the morning, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I had some in my coffee.
I'm running on caffeine exclusively,
but I guess that brings us back onto the subject we were discussing. So you're in caloric deficit. I'm actually on the opposite journey of you.
Yeah, because you're building.
I'm trying to stay in a caloric surplus, and that's been my biggest challenge. But I've been using an app and logging my calories now to make sure I'm over the amount that I should be having.
Which is really important.
Yeah, so my weight training isn't going to waste because I'm not going to gain if I don't eat a little extra.
What's what a lot of people don't realize is and I've learned a lot in these last 2 years doing this whole bullshit. And what's really hilarious is it's so true. Did you guys see the video? I don't know, because I'm not expecting you to watch every episode I put out. But Tess Halliday literally sat there. She got mad at a friend because, mind you, this woman is constantly talking about headaches, feeling lightheaded, feeling under the weather, not feeling good, all signs of a compromised immune system, lack of nutrition, all that shit. Okay, so let's start with that. That's something I've never suffered from because I've always at least eaten a balanced diet. So I've always had the proper nutrition in my system. I was just fat. And so what happens is Tess, her friend came over and she was like, I'm just feeling a little lightheaded. And her friend's like, well, have you eaten today? And Tess is like, sure did. I had pizza this morning. And her friend said, you should eat healthier. This bitch got mad. This bitch was like, there are a few words.
Is this her?
Yeah.
No, that's Jamie Lopez. So she actually passed away.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's a tragic story.
Was she the one from that video I tagged you in on Twitter?
I think
I tagged you
you
on
tagged me in a couple of them, and it's been.
I tagged you in a lot of stuff all the time. I'm like,
right.
talk about this.
It's I honestly this one. So see her. Oh my God. Do you want to play it? Because what she says blows my mind.
Yeah, let me find the beginning.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Go look. This is it. This is right here.
And when they came over, I wasn't feeling well. I was having like low blood sugar, all the things that you don't want. So anyway, very innocently, they said to me, well, have you eaten? And I said, yeah, I had some pizza earlier. And they said, you need to eat something like a bit more healthy. Now, there are a few words that I don't allow when somebody comes into my house. And
passive aggressive
is one of them. Mostly because I want my children to be raised to trust their bodies and to know what is best.
Because children trust their bodies on sugar.
So when this person said this to me, I want to share with y'all what I said to them.
Do share, Tess.
Your body
yes.
does not know the difference between a chicken Caesar salad or this. Your body.
Pause. I want you to think about that, guys. Okay, to begin with, she chooses this chicken Caesar salad, which literally has been proven to be one of the least healthy salads because it's purely cheese, romaine, and croutons. All right, so that's first of all, sweetheart. But do you notice how little she understands micros?
Dude, basic chemistry. Like, carbohydrates is not protein, is not fat. You need all of them, and you need them in a specific ratio in order to have and maintain this.
What we call
She doesn't understand that part. She doesn't understand that part. She literally says all you need is fat,
she thinks
carbs,
food is food.
No.
I know.
She thinks all food is just equal.
Not just that. Like
it's delusional.
From what Starsan is saying, she's saying all you need is macronutrients, and that's not true. You need micronutrients as well, not just.
She doesn't even look at them.
Vitamin B,
about them.
Vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, calcium.
Right. And you know what the funniest part is, boys? Did you see what was on her head? I find this so funny because she doesn't even realize the hypocrisy. I'm sorry, guys. You're all going to have this on my phone. My personal stoat. This is Zorro, and until the day he dies, he is going to use me as his personal bed.
Nice.
Anyways, his fur is looking so healthy. I've been adding supplements, micros into his diet, so that way he is healthier because Zora's going to be 14. It's crazy how that works, guys. How he can't just have his proteins and his taurine and call it a day as an older animal who needs these nutritions and to keep his fur healthy, keep his teeth healthy, keep his system working, his joints working. He has to have better nutrition. It's crazy. Anyways,
who would have thought?
Who would have thought? On her head, she has BTS clips. Now, here's why I find this so hilarious. If you are a weeb of any level, you understand idols and the idol industry and how it is one of the leaders of the diet industry in Asia. They don't believe in body fat whatsoever, like in any capacity. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, she's wearing BTS on her head and she's talking about body positivity. Okay, is that why every idol has plastic surgery? Oh, wait, well, Tess has plastic surgery anyway, so.
Does she?
Yes, she has cheek fillers and lip fillers.
Oh, my.
Okay.
Right? Body positivity, though, guys. We don't want to adhere to beauty
her
standards.
Body.
Well, of course, guys, we don't need beauty standards. We don't have to adhere to them at all, except for all of them, except for losing weight.
It's funny because the things that come out of these people's mouths, it's like they don't even hear them after they leave, and then their behavior just goes on in contradiction to what they just said. Like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's just like a sign of either delusion or psychopathy.
It's true. Here's the thing. like whenever you listen to her, I get comments all the time. Whenever I do a video on Tess, I get comments from people about how they've had personal experiences that were negative, how she's been rude to them. There was the last videos I did, not the one that just came out, but the one before that, about people who had died. There was this young lady. So the one you were showing, Jamie Lopez, she passed away at 37. Jamie Lopez is only a year older than me. Okay. And she passed away from heart complications, things that don't happen when you're overweight. And that was because she was topping out at 800 pounds at one point.
Wow.
Whoa.
And like literally, here's why. Yes, this is Jamie.
The
And
ultimate dream is big.
She had recently lost, I think, like 300 or 400 pounds, but it wasn't quick enough because even though we're both fat, I will say by the grace of God, sorry, Zora. I just stabbed him with my sign of the cross. By the grace of God, I have been reasonably healthy for a person my size. However, I look around at the BOPO women and I honestly only credit one thing to why I'm healthier than most women my weight. My mom. My mom was hyper vigilant about the micros that went into my diet. I was raised on healthier food. It was still fattening, but I drink water like I'm a fish, and I don't rely on these highly processed foods. If I ate a lot of processed foods, and how I know this is my brother, who I love dearly, he is thinner than me. He has heart problems, gut problems. Why? He drinks, he smokes, and he eats highly processed foods.
That'll do it.
And I'm like, this is a perfect show of it's all about what goes into your body. And because as fat as I am, my health problems were pain related. They were not organ related. They were not like, hey, your liver enzymes are so high, this, that, and the other. And so I thank God that my mom was super anal about getting me into good food. Because if you are not used to whole wheat and things like that, you don't taste the chemicals. But go ahead and take 2 months. Whoever's watching this, do yourself a favor. Take just 2 months. Start only eating oats, whole wheat. Get away from all refined sugars whatsoever. And then eat a Pop-Tart. If you love them before, you will hate them now. I can't. And it's just like, I listen to girls like Tess because I used to sip her Kool-Aid. She's number one. She literally has the audacity to say to her audience, I guarantee I know more than you about fucking food. I'm like, no, you know how to eat it.
It's like, honey, just because you're good at shoveling it down your gullet doesn't mean you actually understand the knowledge behind nutritional requirements, biochemistry.
Because her form. Oh, go ahead. No, you.
I was going to say my degree was in biochemistry and molecular biology. Like I was really curious about aging, so it's something I studied in school. And biochemistry, especially human biochemistry, was also just a subject that fascinated me. And we study what happens to the food that you eat and how it gets metabolized into different molecular structures that your cells can utilize, specifically how the mitochondria take like 6 carbon sugars and turn them into little 3 carbon bits. And then with vitamin C's help, they produce energy in the form of ATP, or adenosine triphosphate.
I should have you on a video just explaining this shit. Like, I should do this sometime. Just the breakdown of carbs and everything and sugars.
It's it's an interesting process, and people we need vitamin C. This is actually one of the reasons why you need vitamin C and all your B vitamins too, because they're cofactors. They help this process of turning basically carbohydrates or fats into energy in the form of ATP, which is basically it's like fuel. It's a very highly charged 3-triphosphate. It's got 3 phosphate molecules, and they don't like to be held together, so they're constantly trying to pop apart. And so enzymes can use that popping apart energy to change their conformation to fuel other chemical reactions that we use to build things like muscle, DNA reproduction.
Right. So like with Dan, with the building of the muscle, why he's got to have a calorie increase.
Yeah.
While with me, yeah, surplus, while I have to be lower because like you were saying, so you both are gonna love this. How much do you know about Tess Halliday?
Very little.
I know she's a singer, and that was
No,
heard about.
she
I
doesn't
thought she was
sing.
a singer. She's not a
No,
singer.
So apparently we know nothing about
you're
Tess
thinking Billie Holiday.
Billie. Wait, what? No,
I love
could've
Billie
sworn
Holiday was a
Holiday
singer.
was
She was a woman.
musician.
So Tess got famous for being pretty and fat.
That's it.
That's
Let me,
it.
Google
Okay.
her.
She and if I have photos, I'll send them to you. Maybe I might, if I can maneuver the desk enough beyond the cat, I could show you some photos. She used to be like maybe 200 pounds, and she came up with the F Your Beauty series. We're talking like if she put on a corset, she wouldn't look overweight except for a little like
Okay.
chunk.
I think I'm
And-
confusing her with some other singer who's like
Yes.
overweight. But like, so she was a plus size model, and
Mhm.
that was how she started. A blogger, makeup
Exactly.
artist. Okay.
And Tess,
Content creator.
right? She's an OG, okay, and she's actually been accused of scamming her people. Apparently, when she released the F Your Beauty Standards shirts, a fair portion of people never got their shirts or a refund.
What?
And then Tess went to Disney.
And we get called grifters. I mean, come on.
Right. And so Tess came out 2 years ago saying she's anorexic. Let that sink in, boys. Go ahead.
Wait, what?
Yup.
How is she anorexic? You know, somebody who's anorexic and overweight would drop weight pretty fast.
No, she tripled. Like, so
Okay,
she's
so
a medical miracle, guys. She's the first
So-
person in history with anorexia to triple in size.
She's like the holy mother of being able to get fat without eating.
Well, are you ready? Because here's the thing. If she's anorexic, then I guess I am too, because what she described is exactly what I would do.
Oh my god.
Tess would forget to eat for most of the day, which if you have any kind of digestive problem like IBS or Crohn's or anything like that, is very typical. Now, I have IBS, so I got in the habit for a long time of avoiding. Well, I don't have a lot of the problems I used to have because guess what? I eat 3 meals a day now. But anyways, what she would do is she would starve herself for most of the day just out of forgetfulness. And then she'd have one big meal at night. And she's like, so see, I was starving myself. And I'm like, sister, that one
an
big meal was 6,000 calories.
So Wikipedia calls it, atypical anorexia. That's what it's labeled as. And then when you click that, the other term
But
for it
what
is,
you just described is
well, I'm just reading what this is described as now by the
Yeah, she changed the
they
definition.
call it other specified feeding or eating disorder, or OSFED, OSFED.
it's got an acronym.
They always do. Subclinical DSM-5 category, along with unspecified feeding or eating disorder, replaces the category formerly called eating disorder not otherwise specified. It captures feeding disorders and eating disorders of clinical severity that do not meet diagnostic criteria for anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. What is pica? I've never heard of that.
Oh, pica. So pica is something they know. I know that because of animals. So pica is when you have an unnatural inclination to chew things that you're not supposed to. So like you'll see it in animals. Pica is chewing on plastic, licking plastic, eating plastic. Cats have it the most, but dogs sometimes exhibit it too.
It's described as eating or craving things that are not food. So the labels of OSFED.
Oh, this is like radar licking
includes
tinkle potty off
so
the street.
it includes 5 examples here. So atypical anorexia nervosa, atypical bulimia nervosa of low frequency or limited duration, binge eating disorder or low frequency and or limited duration, purging disorder.
So I guess she was binge eating.
And night eating disorder, which you mentioned earlier, is under this label as well.
Right, and this is the thing. I think she had pretty much all of those. Because like, here's the thing. She keeps telling people she was starving herself. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You were forgetting to eat throughout the day. And then you would be like, oh, need to eat. And then what you tell yourself is, and I know because you'd be like, well, I didn't eat anything all day, so I can get fast food. And you know what? I can get a milkshake with it. It's okay, because in your brain, you're saying, well, I'm not eating a large volume of food, so it's okay. But if the burger is 2,000 calories, if the side is 1,000 calories, if your milkshake is 1,200 calories, if your soda is 400 calories, you've just eaten 3 days of calories in one meal.
Yeah. And then additionally, those foods are low in actual nutritional content, your micros, your vitamins. So your body is like, what is going on? You keep shoveling stuff down the digestive tract and it's not giving me the stuff that I need. So it keeps sending the brain the signal that like you're hungry because you're missing.
Even in bodybuilding, you're not supposed to do that either. And I was reading about bulking because I'm in the bulking phase.
Nice
and,
legs, by the way.
You know, just because you're supposed to be in a caloric surplus doesn't mean you just eat anything to meet that caloric surplus.
No, you need
and when you do, I think typically they call that like dirty bulking is like the term for it. When you're just eating anything just to meet that caloric surplus, but you're not
that
really
sounds bad though.
It's funny. You're not conscious of what you're eating, you know, so you're probably not getting those micronutrients and other things.
Sick mind.
Dirty bulking. Yeah. So you just figure like, oh well,
say it again.
Like I'm gonna gain, you know, because I'm eating more.
Right.
And you're not really considering, well, what am I eating and am I gaining in a healthier way? And
because like just like what Brent said earlier,
a little bit of extra fat during the bulking phase as well. That's normal. And then during the cutting phase, after you've built your muscle up, what you do is you go into a caloric deficit while working
to get rid of the fat,
to then get rid of the extra fat to build the muscle tone.
It shows.
So it shows what you built.
Yeah, all that muscle
and ridges.
Yes.
Right. And the thing is, like, that's why, like, you'll find in the bodybuilding industry, they have the most EDs out of like any industry because they have such unhealthy eating habits.
Right.
And, you know, that's where, like, Michelle has told me about that, and she's spoken about it at length. Michelle McDaniels, my thoughts will probably offend you. I love her. Whatchamacallit? She's like, we're actually friends now, which is kind of really fun. Like, and I think it's so full circle. But whatchamacallit, like, when it comes to it, it's like you're saying, like, it's just like what Brentley was saying earlier. It's great to take those carbs, but if you take those carbs and you literally just have carbs, there's nothing inside of it. And I even did that on that video where she said that. I did a breakdown of the nutrients and everything inside of the two different things. And even though, yes, you have carbs and proteins in both of them, nothing else is similar. And the thing is, that's like sitting there and saying to somebody who's allergic to peanuts, well, there's nothing different between a peanut and a legume for you, so you can have both. Like, your body will absolutely know the difference.
Aren't technically legumes too?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, she'd be like, oh, well, they're both legumes, so you're good, even though peanuts are molecularly different than most other beans.
I can't eat peanuts either. They irritate me.
Oh,
I think
no.
I'm sensitive to aflatoxin. Radar says hi, by the way.
I have jerky in my hand. So
yeah, so
Radar realized that.
The communist dog arrives when
such a
food
communist.
is involved. He's like,
anytime you see me lean down, it's because one of the dogs is over. Like, you'll see, anytime you hear me go around, it's because they come to this side where clearly I can't do shit. I'm like, this is the hand that's free, kids. This is where you got to come.
Mhm.
But yeah, because in case anybody doesn't know, Starsan likes to spend her money on animals by rescuing them and not having any money for anything else.
I normally don't eat on the show either, but I guess it's appropriate. I have Starsan on so I can eat on the show, right? We're over here talking about...
I know, guys. I make you hungry. It's okay.
So, I want to get back to, I mean, the subject of your weight, and you're on a, I hate the term journey, but you're on a weight loss journey. I like the word journey, just not in relation to like some of these things. And
I think the problem is that journey has been so, it's like, so I hate using the terms validate now. I hate using any of those terms that they use. Like, I forgot I was having a conversation with someone, and it was like a legitimate in-person conversation. the only appropriate journey.
Yeah, the
And
only one.
when I tell you, I literally sat there and I was like, listen, God, I gotta say it, your feelings are valid. And I was like, it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Sometimes there's there's an appropriate time for that word. But I will say here right now on the show that instead of journey, let's stop using that word and let's call it a quest. My
Ooh,
weight
I
loss
like that.
quest.
I like
my
that.
weight gain quest. I'm on a quest.
We're on a quest together, although we're going opposite ends, but we're still achieving a goal.
So you said your mom raised you to eat at least micronutrient rich food that's healthier. So is the reason that you ended up gaining weight because you just simply ate too much, or is it a combination of that and a lack of physical activity? Because usually it has to do with the combo of both.
So I was actually extremely physically active up until 2016. So most of my life, especially, so I believe you guys are Italian, right?
Yeah, part Italian. He's actually more Italian than me.
I'm like 90% Italian according to 23.
I have a bunch of
and then
other
like
stuff.
10% Middle Eastern, North African, and like Saudi Peninsula.
I'm
So
like I
since
have a lot of British in me and Iberian as well.
See, I have British in me, but we don't culturally have any of that in us. It's just that's why I'm so pale. And here's what I will tell you, right? If you guys were raised in a similar Italian home for me, then you understand that you don't call repairmen, you don't call lawnmen, you don't have anybody move your stuff. That's what you have children for. And so, and we lived on a half acre of land. So we would do all the lawn work. We would do all the decorating whenever there was. And when I say every season, my mother was doing some kind of project in the house. We were painting, we were sanding, we were bringing furniture up and down the stairs for every holiday. And my mother was kibotz. She was just like all sorts of ungats everywhere. So every holiday there was at least, even Valentine's Day, there was at least 3 boxes of decorations you had to dig up from somewhere. I think a quarter of our basement was dedicated to decoration boxes. And we had a big basement. So I was very physically fit. I did baseball. Gym was literally my best subject. The problem is even as my mother understood that, we still didn't understand it. So we thought going and getting fried food at McDonald's was bad. But if we fried food at home, it wasn't as bad. As if the chemical makeup of the oil changed from McDonald's to here. And even though they use the same oil, but the thing is, we wouldn't just fry potatoes. We would do eggplants. We would do squash flowers. We would do a lot of variety of foods. We didn't have deep fryers. We pan fry. And then if we couldn't fry it, it was oven baked. Nearly everything was oven baked if we weren't frying it in a pan in about that much olive oil. So these are the problems, is that I was eating a lot of micronutrients, but they were also deep fried. Yeah. And, this was all stuff where I was eating vegetables, I was eating healthy proteins, but then my mom's idea of a portion wasn't what the portion was. So it wasn't that I wasn't doing unhealthy habits. It was just they were built with healthier foods. So it was a little better, but I was still overeating in caloric intake. I would love to, if I could, obviously not possible. I would love to take apart and actually test every meal we had to see how bad it was. And even when I moved here, I did get a little better about it, but I would go for walks. I did a lot of labor jobs, and I would, like, when I worked and I sold furniture, I helped the guys assemble and move the furniture all the time. It was a huge warehouse that we walked around in when I sold furniture. So you had to be on your feet. It was not until 2016 when I busted my knee. That's when I stopped moving.
I was about to say, it wasn't because Trump was elected.
No, well, I had a meltdown. I laid in bed for 5 days.
You laid in bed for 5 days. Where did you live before Rhode Island?
No, Rhode Island. I live in North Carolina now. Rhode Island was where I lived first, and
so you're from Rhode Island, and you're
right.
I forgot that. I was thinking it was the other way around. Yeah, so
you're
from the most overlooked state in the entire country.
And I tell you, every time I say Rhode Island, they're like, "Oh, I'm from the Bronx." Not long.
Not Long Island. Yeah, people like totally forget about. Well, look, you guys kind of did it to yourself. If I recall correctly, Rhode Island mostly stayed out of the revolution. They weren't they weren't really part of that.
We were the 13th. We have 2 spots on the flag. We were the 13th stripe, and we are, I think, the 14th star. Like we were the last to enter the Union, but we were around before Long Island.
Rhode Island, like mostly that peninsula that like just juts out into the.
Yep, we technically per square mile, we have the most ocean for our border per square mile than any other state, which is why we're called the Ocean State.
Right.
And so that's why it's really cool. Like, I love it. It was like, how can you be called the Ocean State when Florida and California exist? I'm like, stay mad, bitches.
I don't know.
I don't know. but yeah. And so I lived in Rhode Island for the first 26 years of my life. And
cat's asleep.
Oh no, he's awake. He's
really comfortable.
Actually, Rhode Island was the first colony in America to declare independence.
Oh,
a full 2 months before the United States Declaration of Independence. Interesting.
Oh, someone's eating a little crow today. How's that crow taste, Daniel?
Listen, when I tell you, Rhode Islanders like me are very prideful of our state. Like, and we hear it everywhere. Like, every time someone even mentions Rhode Island, but we're not proud of Family Guy. So,
girl, I've been getting it now as a New Yorker. I've had jibs and jabs at me because I like somebody said the other day, what was it, my New York attitude or something, and I was like, well, I must really be a New Yorker then if you think I have a New York attitude or something.
Oh God, yeah. Like, well,
I took it as a compliment. It was not intended as.
But you guys were the last of the 13 states to ratify the Constitution. Apparently, there was a lot of resistance to the Constitution in.
Oh yes.
Very
we went out fighting, and we're still fighting today.
Still fighting.
We're angry because a couple of was it a decade and a half ago? Massachusetts tried to take us on. They wanted to make us melt into Massachusetts, and we were like, fuck you. We're not doing it.
I understand that Rhode Island pride, though, as someone who's from New Jersey. If you guys are the most overlooked state, we're the state that gets shit on the most.
I know, because my sister loves New Jersey.
Only we are allowed to shit on our own state. No one else is allowed to do it. Only New Jerseyans can say, fuck New Jersey, we hate it. But we also love it.
As everyone a born-bred Pennsylvanian, we made fun of New Jersey.
Of course, everyone made fun of us, but you could also.
Granted, we were like right across the river too.
But
you can shut your dirty mouth.
Only we can say it. Like, only we can say that.
I don't subscribe to these notions of prescribed speech.
I think this is appropriation. Hatred for New Jersey can only be authorized by New Jerseyans, and anyone else. You're appropriating New Jersey culture. Okay.
Yep. Same. Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, I really do truly love my home state. It's sad that it's become what it has. I didn't want to leave. I went kicking and screaming. I really did. Because
try to get out of New York too eventually. This is not where I want to be.
Like stuck here right now.
Kind of stuck.
Right. I mean, you guys, I know you went to Florida for a while, but you know, just from living in Florida, the culture is so different. And if you love the culture of your hometown, it really sucks because like 90% of the Rhode Island thing doesn't involve politics if you ignore politics. The problem is you can't anymore. Because I'm speaking to last decade. I've been here as of next month. I will have been in North Carolina for a decade. And what I'm speaking about was a different world. You know, that doesn't exist anymore. And what I miss about Rhode Island is a lot of Rhode Islanders didn't rely on fast food. That was actually a cultural thing in Rhode Island because there's not a lot of fast food joints in Rhode Island. Most of the chains that the rest of the country has, we're too small to have. The only one we have is Dunkin' Donuts, and that's on every fucking corner, and I'm not joking. And it's like, so I lived in a small town. I'm not going to say where just because, as you guys know, and we'll get into later, I've accumulated a lot of haters over the last year.
There in your hometown?
No, just everywhere. And I don't want them because in Rhode Island, everyone knows everyone. You just sit and you'll right. And so I don't want anybody to absent-mindedly tell someone else something that could, you know.
Sure.
And so on that one road, which is only a mile long, there are there's 8 Dunkin' Donuts.
Wow.
And that's in a small town. We're not even talking Providence, Pawtucket, Cranston. And the thing is, what everyone would do is we go to the delis and the bakeries because that's far faster and more delicious. And they're almost all Italian bakeries. And we have a lot of specialty small shops. So like, for instance, there are meat shops. It's all they sell is meat. And you might also be able to go in there and get like, a little meat pie. That doesn't exist. At least not here. Like, even when I go through Charlotte, that doesn't exist. You can find a pastry shop and maybe donuts, that's it. Like, when I say pastry, I mean like you're getting cupcakes. And the culture is so different in Rhode Island, food-wise alone. And I miss the ocean. When I tell you I miss the ocean, and I know it's going to be a whale remark somewhere. Yes, I'm a fucking whale. Put me back in the ocean. I miss it. But yeah, so, and again, you guys don't know that yet because when you went to Florida, it was different. And now you're in New York again. So I hate you because you get to be around better food.
Yeah, that is one of the benefits of being here is you can eat great food from basically anywhere in the world. That's...
We cook a lot though, just because it's pricey.
Yeah.
Is to order food, to go out to eat.
Yeah.
We do it once in a while on a special occasion when somebody's in town, but it's not something that we're doing. Like every week.
I'd say we order at least half the time because we be lazy sometimes.
But the thing is, you guys balance it out with like you walk. I see Brentley's TikToks. He's walking everywhere. You exercise every day, so it's not like you guys don't balance it out.
I'm trying to, like, at almost every day, at least 4 or 5 times a week. I try to do that, but I also walk a lot too. So
we're New Yorkers. We also live on the 5th floor of a building,
yeah,
so we're up and down stairs.
There's no elevator.
Ain't no elevator. It's an old building.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hell no.
It works. It keeps me.
My knees just cried a little thinking about that.
Well, I don't know.
When we were in Florida too, I was taking Radar like to the beach every day. That was nice. I enjoyed
See,
that.
the beach is good for knees because it's low impact, because the sand is soft. But the other part is
the sun on my skin, the fresh, moisturized air from the ocean water. Oh God, it was lovely.
Fun fact, sand is fantastic for skin conditions because if you don't notice, you can exfoliate naturally with a little bit of seawater and a little bit of sand because salt water has natural antiseptic properties and the sand naturally exfoliates the bad stuff on your skin. More you know.
I miss the beach now. Yeah, I've been having like back knee problems and stuff. I gotta exfoliate more. I need to
exfoliate and also see if you can increase aloe vera into your diet.
Too much of that milk protein.
Yeah, I've been a lot of whey and stuff like that. Probably not reacting too well to it, but I'm trying to gain, so I need shakes, and shakes are the only way that I've been able to really get that caloric surplus that I need because I don't eat a lot. Like, it's hard for me to eat a lot. I have to force myself, and then when I'm in like a bad mood or depressed or whatever, I don't want to eat at all. My appetite tanks, so
see, that's me. And like what was crazy is that's how I was. Like, as you guys know, the reason I gained weight is because of like the reason I gained the major weight, the last 70 during 2020 had nothing to do with being inside, had nothing to do with the pandemic. It was the deaths in my family. And so I did the same thing. I would just simply lay down and sleep and not eat. And my husband would get mad at me because he works at a warehouse. He worked for a market. So he would be gone sometimes till 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, I don't have to eat and I don't feel hungry because sleep. You can't feel hungry if you're tired and you're taking nappies. And so like, I 100% understand. Oh, speaking of guys, you're going to love this. I know for a fact on one of our podcasts, we discussed my infertility.
Yes.
Right?
We did.
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people from Twitter went and stalked every podcast I was on to including yours, to find that about me.
Wow.
But they're not mad or triggered.
Okay.
That's some serious commitment right there.
It's funny how they get triggered and then they insist they're not triggered. And it's that thing where like what leaves their lips is obviously, betrayed by their flagrant behavior. And it's like, Honey,
It's bad. They went through my sister-in-law's socials.
children should not be on the internet.
This person, I don't know how old they were. They're on a fake account. And the first thing they told me is that they were infertile from PCOS and they were trans. But then they told me that they were 10 years older than me. But then I was like, well, then if you're 10 years older than me, then you're 50s. Then they started laughing about that. And then they were like, well, you think I'm near my 50s? I'm like, well, how old are you? Well, you think I'm 25? And they thought they were being funny. But the thing is, a good troll, keep consistent. If you just start making shit up on the dime without any consistency, you just kind of look like you're grasping at straws. But yeah, this person went through all of my old They found a journal on my DeviantArt from 2014,
Wow.
where I was talking about, they said, well, I see you're so depressed and hating yourself because you're lonely. Nowhere in it does I say I hate myself. I said I felt a little lonely because my friends kind of abandoned me because I moved. That was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you went through, I'm like, but you're not mad at me, but you searched all my old socials. You searched my sister-in-law's socials. You watched every podcast I've been on.
They be working hard.
That's some weird obsessive behavior, and they're probably going to watch this one too. So
Right.
if they're watching this right now,
weirdo.
Hi.
weirdo, you should probably
Thank you for being a
get
super
life.
fan, guys.
You.
Thanks for the view, and maybe you should, find something.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Yes,
and
all
give us
right.
your money.
all of that. But I was going to say they should also maybe do something a little more productive with their time. That for themselves, like find a hobby or a passion.
Don't hate watch things. Like it's why. Why?
Whatever. Like you said, they're gonna give us the view, but I'm just now
Yeah,
that
they hate that.
That's for your own sanity.
But I'm saying now that
general.
they're watching, we might as well give them a little bit of friendly advice and say, look, use your time for something more productive. Stalking people that you hate isn't going to further your life and make you successful. You should probably put that time and energy into things that you like,
Self-improvement.
and build those things up. Do your own show.
Read a book.
Yeah.
Start your own
Or
TikTok.
start your own podcast, and then you can talk shit about Starsan on that, and at least
make money.
Like productive,
DramaTube is popular, so if you feel like you want to hate on people and make DramaTube content, you will get viewers. I mean, I don't suggest that because I don't think it's good for your individual mental health.
Probably not.
A lot of people, I've seen people who get into DramaTube content and they get into that back and forth. It's a negative cycle.
Yeah,
We all know exactly who got into DramaTube and can't get out of it.
Girl,
And she just keeps going after certain mutual friends of ours over and over again. But the thing is, guys, like, this was not just one person. Like, when I tell you, they don't understand. I can see the numbers of the hate watching. Number one, my stories tripled in viewers on Instagram. Okay. My TikTok views all went up. My YouTube views all went up.
wow.
They were like, you're not getting, because they tried to claim I was shadow banned. So I even checked, and none of what they claim as a shadow ban on Instagram were what I had. But I was like, I know I'm in shadow. Oh, thank you. I'm shadow banned. Thank you. Like, I just started like thanking them. Here's what's hilarious. So like, I guess you know what? Maybe we should start from the get-go. Like what happened?
Yes. Start at the beginning.
So-
Well, but before that, though, let's also note that this is exactly what our mutual friend Gothix describes as the cycle of insanity. That's what this is. It's like, you hate someone or something, and what you do is you criticize and you attack that thing for getting attention. But what you're doing is you're bringing more attention to what you're mad is getting attention, increasing the attention that it's getting, which is the cycle of insanity, because it's doing the opposite of what you want
It's
to
the
see
Streisand
happen.
effect
Like, it's
also.
like, well, no, the Streisand effect is when you're trying to divert attention away from something about yourself, and then you bring more attention to it. These people are mad that something
that
is
wasn't
getting
the one.
attention, so they give it attention, which brings more attention to it. It's just,
Guys, when I tell you this was like, so here's the thing. Here's what to begin with, before I say any of this, I have been canceled now 3 times in the last 4 months. Okay. I was canceled when I was in Vegas by the fat ass bitches because they didn't like that I told them being body positive doesn't mean you tell everyone they're perfect the way they are. It means you tell somebody, hey, if you're making unhealthy choices, da-da-da-da. Well, I had people saying that I should go kill myself, that my life is over, that they hope my husband cheats on me, that
Lovely people.
oh God, yeah, all these positive women that, and
So
then a
positive,
bunch
so
of them.
compassionate, so kind.
And my favorite thing was them saying, "You must hate yourself. You're so miserable." And I'm like, if anything, I like myself a little too much, but that's okay. So that was the first time. But that one got overshadowed by Asian talk and how I got doxxed, I got attacked. I found out that if you do get shadow banned, it's because people mass report your Instagram. So if I am in any capacity, it's from the Asian talk thing where people got mad at me for calling out bullying against a white person because she dared to say she didn't like Asian food, which, mind you, is my favorite food. Like, I love Asian food.
Same.
Did I say she was right? No. So I got people raging about me, and the reason why I'm not going to go over that here, anybody watching, is because I've literally made 3 videos on it. If you want to see literally in detail, I have the time frames, I have the screenshots, I have the videos. They all deleted the videos about me except for a couple of them because they got called out so severely in my videos. They treated me like Voldemort. They literally said, "Don't say her name anymore.
She who shall not be named."
I shall not be named. And I have video of them saying it. So
oh my God, I'm gonna refer to you on
that's
Twitter
where
as she who shall not be named.
it's so hilarious. And so that's why I'm not going to go into detail about that one, because if you really want to know, I have videos about it. This is still fresh off the press. This has only been a week old.
And this is because of the gender ideology stuff.
No,
No,
here's the best part. Oh, that's right, the Ezra Miller one. Okay, 4 times. I have been canceled 4 times in the last 4 months because I said that I wouldn't honor Ezra Miller's pronouns because he's a fucking peed. And so that one, I see when people say these go viral, I don't feel they've gone viral, and here's why. Even though it's 22 million views, that's just 22 million artists. It goes viral to me when a news outlet picks up the tweet, when really famous people, not just artists that only other artists know, but someone everyone knows. That's to me viral. So I didn't go viral. I just pissed off 22 million artists. But
I know 22 million views is something, girl. You guys, that's an accomplishment. I ain't got no 22 million views on nothing I've done. So
we got
all I know is why
better.
can't the fat bitches get mad at me like that? I could use it. But so it's true. Go to my YouTube, get mad on there. But anyways,
Right.
So what happened was on February 6th, this artist that I follow on Twitter, she posted the blank meme. What are hard truths or hard pills to swallow for the art community? Now, if you guys have ever been in the weeb or fandom spaces whatsoever, I think you know where I'm going with this.
I haven't. I watch some anime. I mean, I'm wearing my Bebop shirt here, but I'm not into that whole.
She's gonna have a hot take about things that people like very much.
When I tell you, this is more than trans issues, more than gender ideology, more than Democrat versus Republican, more than religion. Never tell someone their fan art is lazy and theft. Meltdown. When I tell you utter meltdown, I had artists that work at DC retweeting me saying, "Well, I got hired for my fan art. Congratulations. That just means the IP holder decided not to sue you." And that's the thing. At the end of the day, this is what they don't like. And I've had larger artists talk to me. I've had creators talk to me in DMs because they don't want the fucking hate. Tell me that I'm right. And so here's the thing. By copyright law, and there's videos on YouTube, look it up. If you are not the IP holder, anytime you produce fan art, doesn't matter if you're selling it, doesn't matter if you're just posting it, you can get a copyright strike. They can take it down. So if you post a really beautiful picture of Princess Aurora from Disney without permission, and your posts and your page starts blowing up, guess what, Buttercup? Disney can tell you, take it the fuck down. That's it. Yeah. And they, when I tell you guys this simple fact, absolutely destroyed these people. It tore them asunder. They had a meltdown. But the funniest part is, like we were talking earlier, I'm not triggered. I have not gone to anyone's posts. I was posting tweets separate of the thread. I muted the initial thread. They still kept coming to my page.
Sorry.
They came to my tweets. They came to my videos. And the thing is, I never once said I've never done fan art. I've never once said I never did a fan art commission. I said it's theft. And I choose not to now. Well, the thing is, I did, when Penny, my cat, was sick in the summer, I did one fan art piece. It didn't even occur to me until after I was doing it. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I'm a fucking idiot. Like, I was so mad at myself, but I'd already started it. I'd already taken the money, so I had to do it. And and not only did I just take the money, I'd already spent it on the bills. So I was like, well, pay the piper. And I did 2 pieces of my main mods. If you guys have been on my chats at all, you know Choco Hooligan and Bublito. Those are my 2 main mods. They Choco Hooligan uses a SpongeBob icon, and Bublito uses a Pepe one. So they both requested me to do art of them making fun of each other. So I drew Bublito as this like thick nanny chick, idea wise, and I drew Choco Hooligan as like this muscled out. It's a whole thing. And so I did those. Oh, and I also did I did Leon as Peridot from Steven Universe. I think that's it. And even in my video that I released talking about copyright infringement, I said, I've done fan art. I don't see the joy in it, because the thing is, let me get exactly what it said, so that way I'm not misquoting myself.
Yeah, I'm so unfamiliar with the whole fan art sphere because it's not what I do. You know, I don't.
And this
I do, if anything, like even in regards to what you do, what I do is so different. Like you work in pencil and ink and stuff. Like I work in oil paint, and I do like fine art, and my whole sphere of what I do is completely like removed from what these people are into. So,
and that's the thing. Is like, you just kind of answered why I say it. When you only do fan art creatively, that's lazy.
Yeah, that's not.
It doesn't mean you're not talented. It doesn't mean you're not putting in work. It doesn't mean you didn't hone skills. And that's what they don't understand. See, they only heard lazy and they're like,
Right.
how dare you? Do you know how long I worked on that piece? Do you know how many hours?
Right.
That's all they heard.
Well,
Yeah.
what
No
you mean,
nuance, inability to parse.
what you're saying here is not that it was lazy skill wise. It's conceptually lazy. You're not coming up with your own concept.
Artistically lazy.
Well, no, we'll say conceptually lazy, because
It's a great way to put it. Yeah.
what makes art is that you're coming up with some kind of concept, a theme, a message.
You're communicating something.
And you're communicating that, but it should be original to some extent. I'm not saying you can't. Obviously, you're going to be influenced and inspired by other artists and other styles, but the point is you're taking that influence and inspiration and you're putting it into a new combination that is something that is yours,
right,
conceptually. And
that was the point I was making. Is not to interrupt you, but that was the point I was making, because here's exactly what the meme says. This is what got me at right now 20. Let me see. Let me look at it. We go to the 23.9 million views, 4,046 comments, 10,300 retweets, and 1,550 likes. Okay, so there's that. I wrote, fan art is theft, and using it to gain followers and commissions is the lazy way, especially when you're talented enough to create your own original works and characters. That's it. And here's the thing. Do you know what they all responded with? Here's the funniest thing. I want you guys, if you're hate watching, I want you to think. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. The next phrase they would say is, well, fan art is the easiest way to get noticed.
Yeah, you're literally agreeing with.
Zora, you gotta get down. My shoulder's fucking killing me, bro. Come on.
I think it's so cute that your cat just sleeps on you like that. I think it's freaking adorable.
All day.
I could not stop looking.
I love him. Here's the problem, though.
It almost looks like you're wearing like a
Yeah, it's like a scarf.
Everyone tells me it's my stole. Here's the problem: is that one, he's like 11 or 12 pounds.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
right.
And if you notice, he slides as he gets more comfortable. He's a very long. You can come up now. Come on. Mommy just needed a minute. Because he's old, and I like to make sure he gets as much comfort. Plus, there's a lot of padding here on his hips, so it makes him feel better. I mean, and I know Orion now. Now, Mommy's available.
He can switch shoulders, so the one isn't too stressed. He only likes that one.
He only likes this one.
Okay.
I've tried. What? Do you want to come up and say hi? Come on.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
Oh,
There's a big boober.
I know.
Oh, the big
Good
boober.
boy. I know, my meathead.
He's so
He's
handsome.
my little Yorkie. Yes, you are.
He's so tiny. Little lap dog.
He's a little lap dog.
so low.
But all right, you got enough now. He wants the coffee is the problem.
Yes, coffee is delicious.
He loves coffee. But whatchamacallit it? Not that I let him drink coffee. I give him a little tiny droplet when I drink it, okay? This is for anybody that's an animal person like me, they're like, you give your dog coffee? Technically, no. I don't like hand him a bowl and say drink up. But anyways, so like that's the point. Like exactly what you said, Dan. They all agreed with me. And the thing is, like, all these famous artists that were like, well, this is how I got hired at DC. Number one, sweetheart, you submitted a portfolio. If I'm going to go, like, if I was coming to Dan and I'm like, I can do fine art paintings like you as well, and I hand him marker drawings of Inuyasha, Dan, are you going to feel confident in my abilities as a fine artist?
No, especially because I mostly found Inuyasha rather boring when I was playing way
Get
too
us
much
away from
filler.
Spicy hot take.
It just dragged on, and it was kind of slow. Like I liked some aspects of it, but man, was it slow. I'm just
It
saying.
is. Even though I love it, I agree. But that's my point. Like,
Also, the professionals, you know, they got jobs, they got jobs, they got employed, and if
No.
that's what you want to do, you know, God bless. Like that's a perfectly valid and perfectly, you know, good way to get a stable source of income. But you know, it's not the entrepreneurial spirit. It's not creating something of your own to, you know, break out, you know, make your own story, your own comic,
Also,
like your own original thing.
A portfolio, I think, can have some of that stuff in it because you are supposed to demonstrate your ability, but that's different than putting it online or monetizing it. That's not the same thing. And if you're applying for a job at, like, you know, a comic book company or something like that, yeah, they're going to want to see if you can draw Batman, if you can draw, you know, these characters. Of course, that's their portfolio.
Also, I don't know what you guys think, but I've just seen some recent comic book art from, you know, contemporary comic books, and the art quality has been going down significantly.
because they're picking artists based on how popular they are rather than their skill. Okay, so that's first off. And second off, number one, you guys just like, you gave me so much fucking life because it's so, that's what I've been saying. And they don't want to hear it. Because here's the thing. Everyone assumed it must be because I'm jealous. Number one, my fan art has done better than my regular art. So no, I could do it if I wanted to. I've tried. I find it conceptually boring. I've tried to do fan art, and if it's not something for a friend, i.e. drawing Peridot, but Leon as Peridot, drawing Pepe and SpongeBob, but they were Bublito and Chaka Hooligan, and then doing fan art for Gothix, for Leon, for Michelle, for Blair, I found it fun because I was doing it for someone that I liked. It wasn't because I was just, I don't like, and this is where it sounds rude, but this is the harsh truth. I don't want to spend my life creating someone else's creation. I don't want to spend my life drawing someone else's artwork. I want to draw my artwork. It's nothing to do with jealousy. You want to work for somebody else. You want someone else to call the shots. You want to design someone else's character. Boo, go off and do you. If that's what makes you happy, do it. It doesn't make me happy.
Right.
And so that's where it's my opinion. But at the same time, it is kind of fact. If your entire creativity is because you're using someone else's creation, you're not creative. You're just taking something that someone else handed you and you're playing with it.
Yeah,
And
you're copying it.
and then on top of that, this is, and you can see me getting mad because this is where I got really mad. They all proved my point because I was like, and not only that, because you're disrespecting the artist because you're taking their creation and you're pretending you're better. And they were like, well, sometimes when we draw it, it is better than the original. No, then you're not a fucking fan. You're not a fan. You're
Yeah,
just
that's what
somebody
it
that's
is.
jealous of their fame and their
Right.
popularity, and you want a taste of it. So there's the
Right.
fucking hot take.
It's like literally riding their coattails, you know?
Sorry, this is where I'm mad. You want to say where Starsan's mad? This is where I'm mad, because if I ever got famous on my artwork and somebody took my characters and like, you know what? I don't like that she pairs Red with Aviana. Aviana would be way better paired with her mother or some shit like that. Like, when I tell you, you
Look what
could
they're
copy
doing.
paste every profile that was mad at me. They had 18 to 25 as their age, at least 2 different genders, 3 different sexuality identities,
Sounds right.
flags. They were fetish artists. Like,
Oh my
almost
God.
every single one drew Princess Peach with a penis. Like, when I tell you,
Wow.
so like, you're
Wow.
mad at me because I'm holding a mirror up to you and you don't like it.
Were some of them
Right.
furries?
Oh my God, furries.
So many.
One of them, the
Furry
funniest one,
enthusiasts.
she was trying to say how gross I was. The bitch makes dildos out of fossils. Like, she goes and she makes like, she looks up the way a dinosaur looked and makes grinder dildos off of them. She has an entire collection of zoophile dildos, but I'm the gross one. She was like, they were mocking me for my teeth. They were mocking me for my looks. The funniest thing, and this is where I'm
all
going
they
to sound
have.
arrogant.
Yeah, aren't
Oh,
they
yeah.
supposed to be the body positive people too? But
Right.
Right.
This is what they do.
This is the best part. I'm going to sound super arrogant. I didn't say this on Twitter, but what was funny is half of them going, how is it I draw better than you? And I look at them, I'm like, okay. And because I have no formal training and I drew better than, you know what? Dan, I'm going to show you, because you are a fine artist. You do phenomenal work.
thank you. I also don't really have any formal.
Send me examples on Twitter and I'll pull them up.
I'm sending them right now to you boys, because this is a girl who literally messaged me about how much better she was than me at art. Let me see if I can find it. It's in my screenshots, I believe. When I tell you, I've done fuck, I can't think of the word right now. Nudes, where you draw a subject, and I've never had.
Daniel's done nudes too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 1 or 2, maybe. Like, all right. So first off, this is one person
They're
who sent me
tasteful,
their
though.
art.
I'll say Daniel does tasteful nudes.
He does. They're
There's
beautiful.
No erect penis in Daniel's nudes.
Why
No.
not?
And if
Because
I,
that's pornographic.
I mean, if I did that, it would be private and only for me. But
Just hang.
You don't have to bring up these onto the actual screen. These particular ones, but these are the people that all said that their artwork was better than mine. Okay. So I just wanted you to see this. These are all the artwork that they were like, how is it I'm better than you?
Wait, hold on.
no, let's not put them on blast. I'm not,
No, I don't want those on blast, but I wanted you to see them.
Yeah.
Don't put those up. I'm just going to show you the actual.
Okay, it's not.
Don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because it has their name and everything on it. But I want you to see
Okay,
it.
okay.
It's amateurish. I mean,
Very.
I mean,
And
the subway one's kind of cute-ish.
it's cute, but do you notice the anatomy?
yeah. There's also a lack of shadows under the feet.
Well, the shadows are
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah, that's. I mean,
So this is the one that, and I want you just to look at it, and I want you to see if you saw what I saw. That's what I
definitely
want to see.
okay.
Specifically, Dan. Actually, even if Brentley notices it, I want you to look at her. I want you to look at this drawing.
The purple one.
No, the one I just sent. It's a pencil. Okay.
Pencil. Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Now, Dan, tell me what's wrong with that drawing. Mind you, this is a girl who told me she was more successful than me in art. She's still a student. And I could guess it. I was like, you speak like someone who's still a student, but confident that eventually they'll get a job.
Yo,
And
her
she's like-
leg is like really big.
That
I didn't realize she was
Looks like
drawing
a man
people who
leg.
had lymphedema.
Yeah. But the other one that's bent upward looks small. And I know she's trying to achieve like a foreshortening kind of effect there.
And it
but
looks
the
disassociated
one
from
that's forward is definitely too thick, and it looks like a man leg. I mean, but it's just drawing. It's not like you can't correct that. And
The
I
problem was
definitely
she
made my own.
presented that to me as proof that she understood anatomy and was more successful in drawing than I was. And I was like, she's like, this is one of my perfect pieces. And I was like, excuse you. And I literally dissected it. I was like, see those hands? They look like balloons. I said, there's no fingers. The feet are lacking toes completely. The calves are two different sizes. Her hips and her waist do not match. Her right leg is disassociated from the rest of the hip. Are you really going to sit there and tell me what I don't know? I'm not even in formal training. You are. And you brought that to me, telling me what a shitty artist I was. And this is what you brought me. She stopped talking after that. Because the thing is, do not, if you want to come at me about my artwork, you can just say that. But don't start sitting there dissecting, because they started screenshotting my artwork. And I'm like, I don't care how much you dislike me. There was at least 5 people that were like, yeah, we're not going to do that because she is a good artist. She's just, we don't like her take. And they're like, no, it's dog shit. And I was like, okay, but you're still commenting on the dog shit.
There's always going to be someone who tries to take your work and to drag you for it. I mean, you've seen my work. I'm not saying it's the best.
It's stunning, in my opinion.
Thank you. I've had people tell me it's shit, that it looks terrible, and it's just because there are people who are mad at me over some other opinion I had on Twitter.
Right.
And then what they do is they try to bring my work into it and just be like, well, that sucks, or because they'll say, oh, well, you don't do anything or whatever. I'm like, oh, I do this, and they'll be like, oh, that sucks, and then I'll ask them like, well, what do you do? Can I see your work?
Mm-hmm.
And they almost never have a response. They don't have anything to show for it. Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll showcase me. And like I said, I showed you those art pieces, and I can tell you right now, I don't care how arrogant I sound. I know I'm more talented than each of those screenshots I sent you. I know at least that. But the point is, every time someone would say it, I'd be like, okay. And they're like, yeah, and you should never draw again. You're so right. I'll never draw again. And like they just kept, and the thing is, what they didn't understand is I was talking about legalities. So when you take public domain, that's not the same thing as taking a copyrighted item. And they're like, well, you drew Dracula, you should be copyrighted. I'm like, Dracula isn't under copyright.
They don't understand the laws around these things. And you're talking
nothing.
But that's all you're really talking about too, is legal aspects of it. It's not, there's nothing controversial about it, because really it is just a factual thing that you're saying. And yes, public domain, usually it's anything that is, I believe, over 60 years old.
So I think it's 75. Disney
75.
Right. And the thing is, this is what I said. I think I said it in a private conversation, because the problem is they're all like, some of them were like, oh, you're a corporate bootlicker. I'm like, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Then they were like, oh, well, you're just jealous because of it. No, I don't enjoy it. Then they kept throwing different things at me, like, your art is shit. They try to throw numbers. Then when I'd laugh at them because I have a person with 8 followers and no likes on their artwork mocking me, then they'd be like, oh, bro, you talk about the numbers. I'm like, well, I have more numbers than you. And so like you come at me about the numbers, I come back at you. You don't like it. Right. And so here's the thing. I'm not saying that I wouldn't like to see partnerships with the larger corporations. Because like, for instance, in 2016, a lot of folks don't realize props and costumes got added in. So now if you buy a costume on Etsy and it is not produced by the official, not only can the costume maker get sued, you can get sued for buying it. Wow. And so, right. And so like, we've had for decades, somebody who goes to a party dressed as Mickey Mouse. You can't do that anymore. Disney can and will sue you. Yeah. Anybody can sue you now for it, because now those are all part of the copyright infringement as well. And so this is the problem that a lot of folks don't realize. And they want to roast me for it. And the reason they want to roast me is because they don't like that it showcases their own fallacy. I didn't even know the costume part was a part of it until literally this whole outburst.
That kind of puts a damper on Halloween. Is that really true, though? Like,
it's really true.
Like, monetizing it,
you can't. Even if you're not so the problem is, this is what a lot of folks don't realize. Monetization is up to the IP holder, because let's say you do a drawing of Rapunzel, okay, and you don't represent her outfit right. And Disney doesn't like it because maybe that negatively, let's say you're getting a lot of views and a lot of likes. You may not monetize it, but you're misrepresenting the character. Disney can still sue you for that. That's what they don't understand. So what they can say is,
I would think there's like creative license in that because you're changing something about it.
the problem is you're not changing it enough. It's still recognizable enough that they know it's the original IP. And the thing is, at that point, that's misrepresenting the IP. And so then Disney can say, like, hey, them having this out there is misrepresenting what we want. We don't want that for our brand. They are now damaging our income. So, like, for instance, if somebody makes a lot of figurines, right? Because most of the fan art is not transformative, it's imitated. So the thing is, even though you're doing it in your style, it's still very much Star Wars, Despicable Me. You're still doing that IP. You're just reproducing it with a slightly different taste.
Yeah.
It has to be at least 70%, oh no, 75. It has to be 75% changed from the original design in order for you to be fine with it. People were quoting parody. And I'm like, parody, you're not doing a parody. You're not doing a review, because they were trying to say fair use. Fair use usually applies to video.
That was the term I was thinking of.
Right. And the thing is, with fair use, you have to follow the actual rules. So it's pretty much, at the end of the day, it's up to the IP holder and then the judge. And the thing is, it's a case by case. But they're like, oh, well, you're trying to stifle young artists. No. See, they're equating me saying that's illegal to some 12-year-old doodling in their book during math class. We aren't talking about the same thing. If you want to learn, fine, learn. But then once you learn, move away from it. You stifle yourself. You put yourself in a box and you never move beyond it. Do you know how many times I hear fan artists, people that draw fan art, tell me, I don't know how to design my own character? How? How do you not know how to? If you could sit there and you can make fan art creatively, like sticking, like gender bending or race bending, then you can design. You have not flexed that muscle enough to understand it. And if you truly can't, there are people who sell characters. Literally, you can go all over DeviantArt, all over Instagram, and you can buy a pre-made character that's well designed, just what you want, and then it's yours. So if it's truly down to you just can't make it yourself, find someone to help you out. But I think it's bullshit. Just like how people say, I can't lose weight. Nay, nay. It's just harder for you. And because you want to take the easier, lazy way out.
I looked it up. It says, so these trademark attorneys are suggesting that generally costumes are protected from, like being suable. The problem is when they can be perceived as a 2 or 3 dimensional work of art separate from the useful article. So, or if it's, and is a pictorial, graphic, or sculptural work. So if the design is like, can also be as like an art thing, but generally stuff that they wear, if you're trying to portray a character, at least the Supreme Court said in the 2019 was not suable.
Okay, that's good. All right, yes, you can come back up now.
The last subject that we can talk about, I guess, before we wrap this up, that I've really been wanting to jump into because this discussion, I think, lends to it, is AI art. I
had so much other things. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, we're already over an hour, almost an hour 20 right now. And I wanted to talk about AI art because I think it's relevant to everything we're discussing right now.
Talking about derivative.
And not just in regards to derivative, but, is it creative? Is it not creative? We can discuss that. And then in regards to
I've got
IP,
so many opinions.
The algorithm, I have opinions too. And I guess I'll start with some of those. For one, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And we have to acknowledge that, and we have to be real about that and say, whether you like it or not, people are going to keep developing it. They're going to keep using it. What the issue here is that these...
as long as people keep using those AI arts to generate profile pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I did it. It's fun. I thought it was interesting. Again, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I didn't say that.
I'm just jabbing at you.
Of course. Okay, but I'm saying I'm not opposed to AI art. It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. There's nothing we can do about that. But one of the concerns with it is that the AI, right, the algorithms or whatever, it's taking in existing works of people
and
remixing them and using those works, and those people aren't getting compensated for that. So there might have to be some kind of legislation at some point to at least figure out a way where if your work is included in the system that the AI is using to generate some other thing, that you should be getting some, even if it's a fraction of something, some kind
And
of
I have
royalty
opinions
or
on that for sure.
compensation.
Well, because all these AI bots are being trained on websites like DeviantArt, and they're just sucking it up.
They're mining people's work into their AI to then spit out the new thing that they're doing. So it is using other people's work, and I think that's where the issue here kind of is for me.
And so I have and this actually ties into what I was going to finish my last statement about. So it's really good. So like a lot of folks think that I don't want anyone to benefit from the corporate stuff, and that I don't want them to get credit or anything like that, which is not the case. I would love for there to be avenues opened up and channels spoken about where, one, buying the copyright, because I have friends that are online that buy the copyrights before they produce the artwork. That's first of all. And second of all, I would like for there to be an open communication where those larger corporations could work with smaller artists to create like a small batch of a sculpture or a shirt or whatever.
Permission. They might not even always ask for money. They simply want the exposure, and as long as you ask them and get the permission, that's different than just doing it. You know?
Exactly, and that lends into the AI artwork. Because here's the thing, I think AI artwork is the most delicious platter of hypocrisy. And here's why. Many of the artists that don't like AI artwork do fan art.
Yep. That's true.
So I'm like, do you not see that mirror? You don't like it? There it is.
Anything, a lot of the AI art is more original than their fan art. Because it is taking something, it's taking existing things, but it's putting them into a new, unique combination to create something new. That's not what you're doing when you make fan art. So maybe you're doing it in your own style, but you're not producing something necessarily new.
And that is the point that I like. That is 100% the point. They don't like it because now what they have done for decades to the larger corporations is being done to them. And see, the thing is, I can say this, the one time I was jealous, 100%, was when digital artwork first became huge. Yeah. This was back in 2007, 2008, 2009. Everyone stopped doing traditional artwork and they started doing digital because Wacom's became more available. Everyone had their little bamboo, and I couldn't do it. And I didn't like that people were literally saying traditional artwork sucks. Only digital artwork is good. That pissed me right off. So and I felt threatened by it.
I never had an issue with it. Like, I always actually dabbled in both. Obviously, I started drawing and I started with the traditional styles and methods. But in high school, we were already working on digital art. When I was 15, I got Photoshop and I started dabbling with that. And to me, it was just another tool. I never viewed it as something inferior,
and I think I'm like 5 seconds older than you.
But I do prefer traditional fine art. That's what I do more than anything. I would rather work with physical paint and a physical brush on a physical canvas than on a screen. But that doesn't mean I think it's necessarily superior. Although I will say I think it takes more time and patience, and there's something unique about it because you are producing something that is quite literally one of a kind.
Exactly. And the thing is with this, and that's one of the reasons why I love traditional. Come on, Reddy, you can hop up if you want to. Fine, stay there. And so what I had a problem with back then was that I felt threatened by digital artwork. I didn't like it because I felt it was a cheat. And this is where, again, I piss people off. I do feel in a lot of ways digital artwork is a bit of a cheat. It's a bit of a lazy way because there are things you can do in digital you could never just simply do with the click of a button in real life. Doesn't mean you don't need skill to be able to do digital artwork. And it doesn't mean that it isn't another tool. Here's the thing. With AI artwork, it is no different than anything else. Digital artists sit there and say, well, it's lazy. All you do is type in some words. So when I repeat to them, well, it's lazy. All you do is click a button and you get the shading that you had to spend at least 30 minutes doing in person. That's not the same thing. Yes, it fucking is. Yes, it fucking is. And the thing is, you don't like it. So here's the problem.
You're correct, though. The way a lot of digital artists are responding to AI art is the same exact way that traditional artists were responding to them when digital art became popular. That is true. And I think Gary Vee made this point in one of his videos at some point. He's an entrepreneur.
He's a crypto guy.
Okay.
Guy. Well, wine. He's dabbled in so many things.
Crypto, wine, NFTs, writing,
motivational speaker,
motivational
influencer,
speaking,
whatever. He's actually
influencing.
really interesting. I would love to talk to Gary Vee on the show. I find
With
his
who you've
name-
gotten, I doubt you can't get him. Like, I think you'll get him eventually.
It's huge. I mean, he follows me on Twitter, but he never interacts with any of my things. But that was because when NFTs became big and we were involved in that space in like 2021 or whatever, he was following back a lot of people who were involved in that. And that's another subject too, you know, NFTs, minting artwork as tokens and then marking them with the whole code that proves
South Park
ownership.
single-handedly demolished the market.
And
Like,
that-
now
yeah.
nobody even wants to say the phrase NFTs.
Yeah.
Now it's all.
I kept getting told my art looks like NFT art, and I was like, okay. And the thing is, like, right, here's my thing at the end of the day. Digital artists are threatened by AI artwork because AI artwork is doing what they did. It's just they can't get hands right. And that's the problem, is that you're threatened.
They can't do hands. Yeah, when I did a series of portraits from the freaking Lensa app, man, one of them, like, it looked great except the freaking hand.
For the hand. But the thing is, once they get that hand mechanism down, whew,
Yeah.
and this is the problem. Like I think Brentley said it. In some cases, this AI artwork looks better than what some people do. And here's the problem. Whether they like it or not, technically, it's fair use. Sorry, sweetheart. It's 100% transformative. Yes, they might use a small brush stroke or maybe an eye that you use, but you can't sue over just an eyelash.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I agree to an extent. Here's about getting paid if your art is used. If anybody in the space feels that fan art, selling fan art, and getting credit for fan art shouldn't require you getting sued and it's completely fine and it's a human right, then you should feel it's perfectly fine to bite off of somebody from AI artwork. Sorry, not sorry. You need to stay consistent. And the thing is, to me, it's the exact same thing as me liking, so for instance, Vizzy Pop in Has Been Hotel. When she draws smiles, sometimes she does a little curve up in the middle. So it's a completely straight line, but right at the top lip, she curves up a little. I like it. Adds a little bit of a cheekiness to the character. Right. I can't imitate it with a real mouth, but it looks cute on drawings. If I did just that curve up and nothing else different from my artwork, should I now be paying Vizzy Pop for any commission I make? Should I give her a bite of it? Because that's the exact same thing as AI artwork. The only difference is instead of me typing it in on a generator, I'm doing it with a pen and paper.
Right.
And that's the thing people don't want to fucking hear it. This is no different. It's transformative. It is derivative, yes, but it's derivative enough that unless you knew every single artist involved, you're not even going to be able to tell.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that they don't want to hear. Do I think that it's fair if your stuff is being taken and you're even a small-time artist? No, I think you should be able to opt in and out of it. But at the same time, if you've already had your artwork imitated and you don't know about it, there's no difference. You put your stuff on the internet, and that's the problem. Unless you copyright it, you don't really have any say in your artwork. Like, even me, I regrettably know that if you post it on Instagram, guess what? Technically, it belongs to Instagram. Instagram and Facebook, I believe about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, if you post anything, it doesn't technically belong to you. You've already agreed to the terms and conditions, and Instagram owns that image. And so if you want it copyrighted, go through the extra step and either post it on websites. I think DeviantArt, whatever you post, they copyright it for you. Once you've posted it, it's your copyrighted item. And so that's why
there's some common law too with that. If you post it in other places, or if you post it somewhere else first, it varies.
Yeah, well,
there's some room to argue
too. Like if you have the physical piece and produced it and can prove that you produced it,
right. And it's a case by case. I agree.
Sure.
But the thing is like.
But yeah, it's like what you're saying though, is if you're taking something and you're putting it on the internet, as soon as you do that, you have no control over how that image is used, derivatively. If somebody samples it for their AI thing because they scanned all of DeviantArt or, all of Instagram with a particular hashtag that you used, then that's just the consequences of your actions. I'm sorry.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, do I want artists getting ripped off? No, but my thing is, I am all about keeping the energy. Like, again, the whole entire cancellation, I gave energy that I had gotten and they didn't like it. They was like, oh, you big mad. No, I'm just doing what you're doing. And when it comes to this, if you think it's fine to bite off a big company because you think, well, they're rich and they're fine, then it's fine if an AI art does it to you.
Also, that's you're inviting that karmically downstream. Like, and this is what people don't really understand. It's like the things that you put out there, they come back, they revisit you. And as the older I get, the more I see it. And the children, they know everything. The 15-year-olds, the 18-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, they're so wise and so knowledgeable in the law, in art, in culture. They are the ones who shall guide us, because this is what the crazy teachers have been putting into their heads. They've been feeding,
and they wonder why Libs of TikTok posts what she posts.
Well, and then they hate it. It's the complete difference between your actions that you're putting out there and your words, the disconnect there. It's a lot of black and white thinking. They blame Chaya and Libs for like the putting on blast some of their content.
But when it's like, you put that on the internet.
This is what you want. When you put something on the internet, you are hoping that you get more views.
All she's doing is curating what's already there. She's taking stuff that you already put out there in a public space, and she's just curating it into one place. That's it. I mean, but you
it's true.
It's not like it's like, oh no, the consequences of my actions.
How dare? And see, Brantley just touched on it perfectly. Whenever somebody would say to me, I'm only making the fan art because I love it, and it's for me. If it was for you, you'd never post it. Stop lying.
Stop lying. I think we've pretty much exhausted that subject. Before we go, I just wanted to tap on this idea of meaning in art, because this is what really is I find fascinating about storytelling specifically and film is the way that we can encapsulate ideas in dialogue in part of a larger film. And there was a couple of things that just jumped out at me recently that I wanted to share with you and the audience. So maybe we can just like get into can present them on here.
Because while you're you already have it up, I was like, while you're getting it up, I can say to you, like, for me, you can always tell when someone designs for the dollar and when someone designs for the soul. And how I mean that is when you see somebody who's got every gender flag along with every Hogwarts house, and you see the same cat design in 20 different flags, and all that is designing for the dollar. And that's why they're all soulless. And I compare it to these people who do OCs, but the OCs are literally just bite-offs of major IPs with a lot of things slapped onto them. Like, I guarantee both of you just imagine a neon green furry that has too many spikes and different colored eyes and has one striped glove, and you're building it in your head. That is designing for the dollar. You want to look cool, and you want people to want you to look cool. There is a massive difference. In my opinion, like, again, I use Dan as an example. He paints for the soul. He's painting because he thinks that looks beautiful. It's what he came up with. And you can see it. You can see the emotions in the painting. And that's kind of why I don't like abstract art, because most abstract art is, I was angry today, so I used red and I slashed it with black. And then you're not painting for the soul. You're painting for arrogance. The only time I've seen, in my opinion, this is obviously pure opinion, I saw an abstract art that I really, really liked there was these two ballerinas, prima ballerinas, and they literally danced the part of Odette and Odile, and they did it in paint. So Odette was in white, Odile was in black, and then they did a red slash across all of the spots to show when she commits. And I was like, that is abstract art that shows emotion, because when are you going to see a piece like that again with two professional ballerinas and the dots each represent a bit of the dance they did? Like, that's insane to
That's
me.
I
That's
mean,
the difference.
that has meaning though.
Yeah,
That's
but
really like an intention, and you can
Well,
see it.
There's a concept, like I said,
It's conceptual.
We were talking about why fan art isn't necessarily art, because it's like it is conceptual.
It reminds me almost of this idea, we've talked about on the show before, of people who have moral endoskeletons and moral exoskeletons. So also you could call these people like NPCs is the common way we understand them. These are people that are just sort of programmed reaction machines that don't have a lot of soul, you could say, individuation, you could say, a lot of internal cohesion. They're not real personalities. They're just sort of like copies of other things. And so you see
100%.
this
cardboard cutout people.
Right. You see this, but you see this in art.
With rainbow hair.
You see the cardboard cutout art, you see the derivative art, you see the copied art, and then you see individual art. You see, like truly creative things. And you can, as somebody who has a discerning artistic eye, you can see the difference. But what we don't understand as people who try to have that discernment, who strive for that, is that there are people that don't have that ability, and they can't segregate original art from derivative art. To them, it looks the same.
Right.
That's why.
And I 100% stand for original art. Like, I 100% without any lies, I simp for original artists. I will absolutely go after and promote. Like, when I find an artist who does original, 100% original, I go insane. Like, there's a woman, Sketchy Finch, and I know that.
Sign up for my Patreon, please.
Yes. And I'm probably gonna
support artists.
A bit of this and put it in a video for myself. But you said you wanted to show me something, so go. I know I went off on a pontification.
Well,
I'm gonna skip it for now.
Well, I wanted to bring up the Big Five personality matrix, which Jordan Peterson talks about all the time, and I think it's relevant because one of the things Peterson also talks about is everyone can have like a level of being able to create, but not everyone is creative. And if everyone was creative, there would be no meaning to that anymore.
Right.
It very much is. It is a part of someone's personality matrix, and Brent just pulled it up here. So the big five are openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And each of those five are split into two subcategories under them. Creativity falls into the openness to experience category. And typically it falls under what Peterson calls trait openness. So it's split into intellect and trait openness. Intellect doesn't have to do with IQ. It has to do with an interest in abstract ideas and things like, history, psychology, science, those sorts of things. That's high intellect. Trait openness has to do with an interest in novelty. So people who are high in trait openness are the creative types. They're the person when you're walking down the street with them, instead of just looking ahead or looking at the ground or whatever, they're looking at all the moldings and the details in the buildings and noticing this and this and that. They love novels and poetry. They like to go to live music shows. They like to go to the theater. They like to go to museums. Like, they crave that novelty and that aesthetic experience, and they have an eye for that. Not only that, they have the ability, they tend to be the entrepreneur types. They're the ones who come up with the new ideas for something, for an invention, for a company. They're not always the best at running those things, but they're the ones who come up with the initial idea. And I think one of the tests he talked about is to see if someone's high or low in this trait is, I think this was it, but like, you give them a brick and you ask them to list how many different things they could use this brick for.
I can think of two right off the bat.
Someone who's high in openness will be able to come up with a very long list of things. Like, someone who's low in it, they'll just be like, oh, well, you can use it as a paperweight, you can build something with it, whatever. Someone who's high, they'll have a long list. They'll be like, oh, I can smash it into pieces and then put that and make it into a paste and then make a sculpture. I could make a mosaic out of it when I smash it. I could use it as a doorstop. I could use it as a paperweight. So they'll be able to come up with a very long list of all these.
I like how you and I were thinking the same things.
All the different ways that you could use that seemingly, innocuous object for things that you would never normally think to use it for. And that's what creativity is being able to come up with all those different concepts, those novel,
not only being
things.
able to remix something, but also being able to
repurpose something,
remix remix the nature of things into more things.
Yeah, but my point is,
what is your point?
It is a temperament thing.
It's a temperament thing.
That not everyone is creative. It very much is something that's part of particular people's temperament, and very high creative people are actually rare. So just because someone is a little creative, they might not have that very high openness in their personality matrix, and that's why they can only do derivative or fan art, because they don't
Daniel,
have,
all artists are equal in their creative potential. Daniel,
that's not true. It's just not true.
With Daniel, equity and stuff. Daniel,
and it's the same thing with like we'll use another trait, conscientiousness. I'm low in that. I have to practice harder and train myself to be more conscientious, because naturally my temperament is less conscientious.
She don't like to do the dishes.
That's not what it comes down to, though.
I love when you two bicker.
Has to do with schedules, things like that, like being able to do things in an orderly fashion, that kind of thing.
I think the thing is that list,
the creative type tends to not be high in that. I'm not saying they all are like that, but they tend to not be.
Supply your own, not alls.
They have a very scattered.
We speak in generalization here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are always exceptions. I'm not saying there aren't high openness people who are also high in conscientiousness, but the two don't tend to mix. People tend to be higher in one and lower in the other.
Agreed. And that's the thing, like with that list, I could see myself in all of those different aspects, but it's not things I didn't work for. And the thing is, like you said, and it's like I said earlier, if you feel that you can't create on your own, that is fine. But there are people you could go to that could do it for you. You can go ahead, baby.
Yeah, that's why we have people who specialize in certain things, and that's why when you're trying to do like a larger creative venture, say like putting a film together. Recently, I worked on a short film with a team of people, and I was art director. And one of the things that you learn is like making a movie is like making a long, drawn-out, moving painting in a sense, where every scene,
many artists,
every shot is like a moving scene. It's a scene. It's a moving painting, and you're putting it together into one long, drawn-out, narrative moving painting. But one artist isn't working on it. Like there might be someone who specializes in the art aspect, meaning the visual aspect of what it looks like, but you literally need an entire team of people who each specialize in their particular thing that they're good at, and you have to be able to outsource that labor to that person, like someone who's good at video, so they know that, someone who's good at managing everyone else, like the producer, and the director, someone who's good at specifying what they want, manifesting the vision.
Well, because a sign of an actual
that to me, Brent. I'm sorry, but I hate when you rush me when I'm making a point. You talked a lot in this episode.
You elaborate.
Okay, I'm trying to elaborate. That's the point.
Well, all
right, I'm done.
No, but I get it. I get what both of you are saying, and here's what I will tell you. I don't disagree with Dan at all on this, and here's why. Because I watched this guy. He's called Dylan is in Trouble, and Dylan is going to filmography. He's doing filmography and all this stuff, and he wants to become a producer. He wants to be an author, and he does it in a comic way. He makes fun of some of these movies, but he reviews movies. And at some point, the comedy mask will come up, and he'll get genuinely mad because he'll be like, "Oh, that shot was good. Why did they stop that?" And he'll start saying, like, a good filmographer, somebody that knows how to do the right shots and lighting, and then he'll say the background sounds afterwards and the script writing. And he'll be like, if they knew what they were doing, they would do this. Why did they do this shot? This is a shot you use for, like, let's say an action shot. And so I agree with you 100%, Dan. Like, the thing is, like, when I listen to that list, I could see myself in all of those aspects. However, I wasn't an expert in all those aspects. You have to work on them. And it's like you said, if you expect to be an expert in all of them, you're going to fail. And I actually can attribute that to where I work. My boss, who's also my friend, and she said the sign of a good chef is not a chef that can run the kitchen on their own. A sign of a good chef is a chef that can delegate and understand where her team needs to be.
Yeah.
And that's 100% the truth.
Room in art for diversity of product. And that's why you can point out that, you know, there's plenty of open space for people to be originally creative. But if you're just making derivative fan art, like, and that's fine for you, like, so be it. But that's, you know,
where you might have to work harder and discipline yourself to try to come up with original concepts, whereas someone else who's higher in openness, just it comes naturally to them. And that's why I brought up conscientiousness. It's not that I can't be conscientious, it's that my temperament naturally isn't. And because I know that and recognize that, I have to work harder to get better at that, to be more conscientious. So I practice till you fake it till you make it, that sort of thing. Yes, the big five, all of those traits are in everyone. They're just at different levels. Some people are very low in one thing and higher in another thing. And knowing what you're high or low in is beneficial information. So go take the test, because it is beneficial information. It tells you what you already are good at, but also tells you where your shortcomings are and what you might have to forcefully focus on to make yourself get better at that
self-awareness.
Yeah.
And you know what's really good, guys? You know how I can round this all out? You can take that and put it into dieting and losing weight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because Michelle said it perfectly. Don't be a poor me baby bitch. It is not that it's impossible. It's that it's harder. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you can't lose weight. It doesn't mean that you can't fix your diet or your sleep schedule or the way that you work or any of that. It means
you just can't do it, Sandra.
Or vice versa. If you're someone who's really skinny and kind of frail, it doesn't mean that you can't put muscle on, you can't gain weight, you can't get stronger. Maybe your temperament might make it more difficult for you to do those things. And this is why people do get personal trainers and that sort of thing, because they feel they need that extra push. But you might have to work a little harder than some other person who naturally is really into that, and it just comes easy to them.
And I will say his legs look fantastic. Okay, I've been watching from the get-go. I see the leg growth. Yes, you.
Oh, thank you. I'm holding at least 30 pounds more than I was, around 30 pounds more than I was around this time last year. I think I was like 135. Now I'm like 161. I'm holding above 160.
Mm-hmm.
And that took, like a lot of consistent effort, which kind of more, I would say, happened over the last 4 or 5 months when I really started to push myself more. And now I have a gym membership, so I've been going to a gym and not just doing it from home. So
well, because now you've gotten over that initial pedestal, and that's the thing. It's like this all comes down to it. I never said people weren't talented. I never said they didn't work hard. And I never said they didn't like the IP that they were doing. However, two things can be true at once. And that's the fact of the matter is, and I know because you can attribute that exact idea into anything you do in life, whether it be getting a better job, whether it be building your house, whether it be building your finances, anything that you have a hard time doing, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It means you are absolutely able to. You're holding yourself back. And this is the thing that they don't want to hear. Well, our fan art is the best way to get noticed. Oh, well, this is the best way. No, that's the easiest way. And if you want the easy way out, just say that. Just own it. Because that's the thing. If you want it that way, I would shut up if you're like, yeah, I am. So what? Then I got nothing to say.
Yeah, but that applies to the body positivity movement and stuff as well. Like, we're not saying that you should hate yourself. That's not what we're saying. Like,
never.
Oh, I'm fat, I should hate myself. What we're saying is you can be fine being heavy. And there are lots of people who are like, well, I'm heavy and this is the way I am. And they're fine with that. But if you're not realistic and recognizing, hey, there are health effects to that are negative. And also there are probably less chances of you being able to mate with people. Like, less people are going to find you attractive. I'm not saying there aren't people who won't find you attractive. There are exceptions, but it's less likely those people are going to find you attractive. And you recognize the reality of that, and you just own it, and you say, well, whatever, I'm fat, I'm heavy, I'm fine with that. Am I going to have like a shorter life expectancy? Probably. Yes. But don't go around and parade your body and say that I'm just as healthy as someone who is thin. That's cuckoo. It's not reality.
Delusional thoughts from Fantasy Island.
So, like, yes, you can be comfortable in your body and fine being a heavy person. That's fine. But as soon as you start pretending that there aren't negative consequences to that, and that it is just as healthy as someone who isn't heavy,
Right.
you're going to get called out. We're going to call you out and be like, well, no, that's not true. Actually, there are these negative consequences.
Quit
Well,
lying.
I heard firsthand. Who did that? Someone just moved. Here's what I will tell you. Here's what I will say first. First of all, what I hear all the time is nobody owes you health. Okay, number one, yes, you do, because you're expecting the EMT that has to pick up your fat ass to be able to do it. So you owe them your health. Your family, you owe them your health because they want you around. Your friends,
That's true.
anyone that has to pick up the pieces when you're not okay, you owe them your health. Because, and this is the thing, whenever they do it, it's like you just said, what the biggest thing is they're mad people aren't attracted to them. No, fat is not beautiful to most of America, and you have to get over that. You have to get over the fact that most people do not find it beautiful. And you have to get over the fact that the people you're going to attract are the fetishists. You have to get over that. Most people my size are not going to attract a normal person. Why? Because whether you like it or not, I can say from personal fucking experience, not moving and eating too much calories, maybe not too much food, but too much calories, get you to where you're at. You don't have to like that fact. You don't have to admit that fact, but you know it. That's first of all. Second of all, when you sit there and you parade around in string bikinis saying, fat is beautiful. Oh, I'm going to show you my rolls.
Oh, so this
you know exactly what you're fucking doing. You are sitting there. Don't sexualize me. Here's my ass crack. Don't sexualize me. Here's my things and pasties. Like, it's a fire. And the thing is, like, I understand this is you taking back your body or whatever. But what did Lexi Nimmo say? Most of them, they're making peace with their lack of health. That is not the same thing as loving yourself.
That's true.
I love myself. I have no problem looking at my ass naked. None. I'm like, oh, look at you. Look at that cute butt. Like, I look at myself all the time. However, I also understand that if I keep it the weight I'm at, I'm not going to be around forever. I'm lucky. Knock on wood. I'm very lucky to have the health that I have right now. But my knees, my back, they remind me that my health is from being gone.
Well, part of that's also part of loving yourself, is you have to recognize those areas and be like, well, if I love myself, doesn't mean you just look at how you look and you're like, I love myself. It's also like, you want to take care of yourself. And I think Jordan Peterson also said, treat yourself as if you're someone worth taking care of, as if you're another person who you need to take care of. You're supposed to treat yourself in that way. So you recognize those areas where it's like, hey, I need improvement in this area so I can be a better version of me. That's not a matter of hating yourself, although there might be a certain level of shame that you need to feel about your current state and condition in order to take action about it.
Yeah.
And
Shame is
like
healthy.
that.
Shame, a baseline, a level of shame. We evolved it for a reason, and shame is supposed to tell you inside that something you're doing is wrong for your long-term positive health and, future well-being.
Yep.
But that's the problem. We've now been taught in this society that any level of shame is bad.
Right.
This is the problem, guys, is you just hit the nail on the head, both of you. We have now decided that any form of shame is wrong.
And that all forms of pride are correct.
Yeah.
All forms. As long as you're proud of yourself. It doesn't matter what you did. Oh, I ran a train with 8 of my coworkers. Oh, pride. Like, this is the problem that we're having. This is the problem that we're having. Is that I'm not saying you should feel publicly shamed for the rest of your life. I'm not saying, because I don't believe in fat shaming. I will tell you right now, as somebody who's exceedingly stubborn, one of the reasons I didn't lose weight and I was not caring about the calories is everyone kept telling me you got to lose weight, and I was like,
I was like, want to rebel.
Eventually, it doesn't.
It doesn't shame me. I literally would draw naked drawings of myself just to piss people off more because they kept telling me to lose weight. Shaming does not work, especially when you're talking to somebody who's stubborn and doesn't hate themselves. Right. So you have to work at it different. That's why I go at the health angle. I'm like, do you love yourself? Do you love when your knees hurt? Do you love when your ankles hurt? Do you love when your digestive tract can't handle anything?
If you love yourself, you'll do something about those things for yourself.
Yeah.
See what I mean? He doesn't fucking care. Like, as long as he is on the fat, zero shit's given.
I seriously
he is very comfy.
What are the
Cassandra,
cutest
remind
things?
everyone where they can find you on the interwebs.
Well, if you haven't been on Twitter,
It's
I
Lady,
can
Lady
be found.
Starsan on Twitter, right?
Right. It's no, it's the Starsan. So the Lady
Starsan.
Starsan is an old one that I don't
Old
let
one.
anybody
I got
look
that
at
confused,
because
right.
it's just got all old shit. And I think some personal shit. So that's why I shut that one down. It's completely locked. So if you want to find me, I just hit 11,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Woo!
And you can find me on YouTube, Starsan. You can find me on Instagram, Lady Starsan. You can find me on Twitch, Lady Starsan. If you want to support me, I am Starsan on Patreon. You can find pretty much if you type in Starsan, you're either going to find me or a beer cleaning soap. And I mean that sincerely. It is a soap designed to clean the fermentation barrels for beer. So it's
So
me or
you're
them.
not them.
I'm not them. You find
That's
me
what I'm
just
keep
prepared.
Right.
If you ever, there's some funny memes about it.
Subscribe to her on Patreon.
Yes, please. Any and all helps. It starts as low as $1, and I will be getting YouTube membership soon. That is whatchamacallit. It's going to be probably just $1 or $2, just so that way, because some folks don't care about the artwork, and some folks really don't want to see the NSFW artwork.
Right.
So, and I do a fair share of nudies on there. So that's where if you wish to just support me for just $1, it'll be on there. Otherwise, guys, yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me.
Fabulous. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the show with your friends, make clips, donation links in the description. We love you so much. Thank you for listening, and we will be back again soon with another amazing episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.